Here are three things that I would never be cheap on as a business owner. In fact, you cannot afford to be cheap on this because, price is what you pay, value is what you get. And as an entrepreneur, here's the tricky bit is that, especially in the beginning, as you're getting this thing off the ground and you're trying to make a little bit of money, is that you need to be frugal at every single juncture. You need to make every penny go as far as it possibly can. And this is where we get into the idea of being resourceful versus having resources. In the beginning, you don't have a lot of resources. So the very few resources you have, you need to be very resourceful in how you deploy them. With that said, there comes these moments in time where you will have to invest into yourself, into your team, into your business. And it will be very difficult for you to get outside of that frugality mindset and not be penny pinching, but instead say, I'm going to go get the absolute best that I can with my money, right? We talk about when is it the right time to find the Batman solution versus the MacGyver solution. Sometimes you do in fact need to get the Batman solution. It's not worth trying to work around it. And so here are three things in particular I think you should not skimp on. Number one is hiring. You should never skimp on hiring because the difference between an A player and a B player in salary might only be $20,000, $30,000, right? You might get a B player for say $50,000, an A player for $80,000 or $90,000, and that's not an insignificant amount of money. Don't get me wrong. The thing is, the difference in relative output between those two is orders of magnitude difference. So you might spend $50,000 for the B player, but they might only produce $500,000 of value. Whereas maybe you spend $100,000 on the A player, but they produce $10 million of value, right? Like that's how this works, where the difference between what one person, like a great person, can produce versus just an average person, it's not linear. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's not, hey, I spent 30% more and then I only got 30% more in results. It's like you spent 30% more and then you got 100% more in results. And this goes to the idea of the difference between gold medal and last place at the Olympics in the 100-meter dash is probably less than half a second. The relative difference of what they get, the absolute difference, in terms of what they achieve in winnings is night and day. The gold medalist, he gets all the endorsements, he gets all the prize money, he gets all the accolades, all the attention. Nobody knows who got last place in the 100-meter dash. Only half second separates them. That's the difference between the A player and the B player. Now, that's not necessarily fair to the guy who got last place in the Olympics. He's probably also an A player, but it just goes to show that even within the field of A players, little differences pay massive on back end. So never skimp on hiring. Always get the absolute best person that you possibly can for the role that you're hiring for. Now, that's a different conversation for another day, is which roles should you be hiring out at which points on the journey. We'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to that because that's a very important one. But let's talk about the second thing that you should never skimp on, which is your computer and your phone. These are resources that you're using every single day as you're running your business. So the time that you're wasting having spent $200 or $300 on that crappy computer from 5, 10, 15 years ago, because you're like, oh, it's good enough. No, dude, like you're sitting there waiting for pages to load. You're waiting for it to turn on. The battery dies every 4 hours. So you're looking for a charger. These little inefficiencies add up. So buy the best that you can afford and don't even look back, because if you're going to spend 8 to 10 hours a day on your phone and your computer, it is, if you look at it from a pay per usage perspective, you're only going to be paying like a couple of cents for every hour that you use on that computer over the next 2 years. So go get the absolute best, fastest, and most memory so that you're not futzing with it all the time. Like, because at the end of the day, the craftsman, the tool is only as good as the craftsman, but the craftsman with a great tool can, make Michelangelo versus just, some scrap over here of marble. So get the best tool that you can do here. Because honestly, the difference of a $200 computer versus a $1,000 or $2,000 computer, yeah, that's meaningful money, but like spread out over the course of 2 years that you're going to be using it every single day, it's pennies. So don't skimp on that. Number 3 is learning. Do not skimp on learning, because you can always pay with either time or you can pay with money in all areas of life. You can either pay with time to go and get the information, consume it on YouTube, read the books. You can do all that stuff, right? That's fine. Or you can pay money to go bring in that coach, that expert, that consultant who has already done the thing that you have done or that you're trying to do, and they can compress decades into days of learning. Time is the most valuable currency that you have. It's the one that you should try to hoard as much as possible. If you have the option of paying with cash versus paying with time, don't be cheap. Pay with the capital. You can always earn more of that. In fact, there's like an infinite abundant supply of capital, but you only have 80-ish years on this planet. So don't trade this finite, priceless resource for something that is abundant and imaginary in the grand scheme of things. So never pay with time when you can pay with money. Go learn from the absolute best, have them compress decades into days, and then you're going to take that knowledge, you're going to be able to deploy it faster to get the results, to earn back the ROI on the capital that you put in. I guarantee it's almost always a positive investment. So those are the 3 things you should never skimp on as a business owner. If you guys found this valuable, let me know. I'd like to hear from you guys. Shoot me a DM, shoot me a comment. Go to Instagram, the Anthony Vicino. Reach out. I'd love to connect with you guys. Make this more than just a monologue. Let's actually have a conversation. But until then, stay hyper focused, my friend.